When Kareem inherited his grandfather's old house, he thought it was a blessing. A quiet home on the edge of the village, surrounded by trees and silence. But the moment he stepped inside, the air felt wrong, heavy, cold, watching. That first night, he lay in bed listening to the wind outside. But around midnight, the wind stopped completely. The silence was so deep it felt unnatural. Then he heard it. Slow, dragging footsteps. But not from the hallway, not from upstairs. They were coming from beneath him. From the basement. At first he thought it was pipes or animals, until the footsteps stopped directly under his room. And a whisper rose through the floorboards. "Kareem!" His blood ran cold. The voice was low, shaky, and too close. He didn't sleep at all. The next morning, he tried to convince himself it was just his imagination. But when he walked into the kitchen, he found dirt, fresh dirt, scattered near the basement door. He remembered something his grandfather said years ago. If you ever stay in the house, don't go near the basement. Not even during the day. By the second night, the whispers started earlier. He heard a scratching, and something that sounded like fingers tapping on wood. At 2 a.m., the whisper came again. Kareem grabbed the basement key. His heart was pounding as he approached the door. The moment he placed the key inside the lock, the whispers stopped. Completely, as if something on the other side was listening. He opened the door. A wave of freezing air hit him. The darkness below was thick, almost alive, swallowing the light from the hallway. Step by step, he descended the wooden stairs. Every step creaked like a warning. When he reached the bottom, he noticed symbols carved into the walls, circles and lines that made no sense. But what terrified him were the 3 bloody handprints smeared across the stone. Fresh, wet, as if someone had just placed them there. He lifted his phone to inspect them closer, but before the light could reach the far wall, a voice whispered right beside his ear. "You shouldn't have opened it." He spun around, no one. Another whisper echoed from the corner. "You were chosen." His phone flickered. The symbols on the wall seemed to shift, moving slightly like they were breathing. Something scraped across the floor behind him. He ran toward the stairs, but the basement door above slammed shut with a violent bang. His phone light died. The neighbors said they heard screams that night, but by morning everything was silent again. Kareem was never seen leaving the house. Now people who walk near the old property say they hear footsteps under the ground and a faint voice whispering through the soil. For 2 long days after Kareem vanished, the house remained unnervingly still. Not a single window moved. Not a single sound came from inside. But neighbors swore they felt something watching from behind the curtains at night. Kareem's cousin Yusef couldn't ignore the silence anymore. Kareem never stayed offline this long, so he drove to the house hoping to find him safe, but fearing the worst. As soon as he stepped onto the porch, a cold shiver ran through his body. The air felt heavier here, as if the house itself exhaled a slow breath. The front door creaked open on its own when he touched it. Inside, the air was freezing. "Kareem?" His voice echoed strangely, as if the house absorbed part of the sound. He walked deeper inside. A chair was knocked over. A mug smashed on the ground. And then he noticed it. The basement door, slightly open, just enough to show darkness. Yusef hesitated. He remembered Kareem once telling him their grandfather always warned about that door. But Kareem could be hurt, or worse. He approached slowly, his heart pounding louder with every step. The closer he got, the colder the air became, like standing in front of a freezer. He pushed the door with one finger. A blast of icy air escaped. The smell of damp soil and something metallic, almost like blood, filled his lungs. He turned on his phone flashlight. When he placed his foot on the first stair, he heard it. "Jabi Yusef," a whisper rising from the depths. His whole body froze. It was Kareem, broken, weak, terrified. "Kareem?" "Hold on, I'm coming." He rushed down the stairs, nearly slipping. At the bottom, he stopped dead. The basement was empty, too empty, like a room that didn't want to reveal its secrets. But on the wall, the bloody handprints were still there. Now 4. The new one fresh, wet, slowly sliding down the stone. Yusef stepped back, breathing hard. Something moved behind him. A slow, dragging step. Then another. He turned his flashlight toward the sound. A tall, unnatural silhouette stood in the darkest corner. Its legs bent the wrong way. Its arms hung too long. Its head twisted slowly toward him with an audible crack. From deep inside its chest, a voice echoed. "Help me." Kareem's voice. But the creature's sewn-shut mouth didn't move. The voice vibrated through its ribs like something trapped inside. Yusef's hand shook violently. What are you?" The creature stepped into the light. Its eyes were hollow pits, its skin stretched thin, almost translucent. Black thread sealed its lips shut, digging into the flesh. Yet Kareem's desperate voice continued. "Please, help me." Kareem's voice. But the creature's sewn-shut mouth didn't move. The voice vibrated through its ribs like something trapped inside. Yusef's hand shook violently. What are you?" The creature stepped into the light. Its eyes were hollow pits. Its skin stretched thin, almost translucent. Black thread sealed its lips shut, digging into the flesh. Yet Kareem's desperate voice continued. "Please, help me." Yusef backed toward the stairs. But the basement door slammed shut above. Him with so much force the whole house shook. The carved symbols across the walls lit up faintly, pulsing like beating hearts. The whispers multiplied. Dozens, then hundreds. Crying, begging, warning, calling his name. The creature reached out a bony hand toward him, its fingers twitching unnaturally. A single whisper rose above all the others. "You shouldn't have come, Yusef." His flashlight flickered. The shadows moved, and then the light went out. The house returned to silence. By the next morning, nothing had changed outside. But inside the basement on that cold stone wall, there were now 5 bloody handprints. Mark sprinted down the hallway, the floorboards shaking under his feet as the whispers grew sharper, almost angry. Liam grabbed his arm, pulling him into a dusty room lit only by the weak light of a broken window. "Bro, look at this," Liam whispered. On an old wooden table lay a pile of photographs, hundreds of them, all of people who once entered the house, smiling in the first pictures, terrified in the last ones. Mark swallowed hard. This place, it keeps them. Then he noticed something that made his stomach drop. One of the photos was of him and Liam taken earlier that night, except they had never taken a picture. Behind them in the photo stood the same shadowy woman they saw near the staircase. Her face blurred, but her silhouette unmistakable. Liam suddenly froze. "Mark, the door we came through. It's gone." Mark turned around. The doorway had vanished, replaced with a solid wall. The room grew smaller, the air tightening around them like a closing fist. A whisper slid across the walls. "Every house needs new memories, new faces, new lives." The photos on the walls began to shift. The people inside them slowly moved their heads, turning, until their eyes locked onto the boys. Their expressions twisted into silent screams as if trying to warn them. Then without footsteps, without sound, the woman appeared behind them. Her cold hand touched Mark's shoulder. The camera on the table clicked. A new photo slid out. In it, Mark and Liam stood frozen in fear, the woman gripping their shoulders. The house finally had its new victims. Outside, the place looked abandoned again. Quiet, lifeless, waiting patiently for the next ones to enter.